Well, folks, preseason game number 1 is in the books on a Saturday afternoon. So we're having a quick video to go over the big takeaways as we go through. I will have the normal Sunday night breakdown for you tomorrow night. So be here for that as we go through all of my notes that I'll get a chance to rewatch hopefully later tonight. A lot going on. So in the end, not going to do an intro and all that kind of stuff today. In the end, it was a good day out. A couple of little things. Hopefully, like Bell is going to be all right and return. You got to hope that Derek Gore is as well. I know it wasn't the best day out for Gore. That's all right. There was a couple of struggles there, and that's okay. It just depends on how you react from this. This is the first step. And so what we saw today is the beginning point. This is not the end point. And a lot of folks are concerned about a couple of things in particular with the rookies, et cetera, and who's playing where. The big takeaways are, though, is I think for the most part, everybody started in pretty good space if you're not on the offensive line. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but also going to go over all my notes tomorrow night, so be here for that. Big thing, Karlaftis off the start, right? Came out, and I think Mike Dana got the start next to Frank Clark. I don't think that's a huge deal. You saw the rotation come in very, very early, and that's a positive sign. But I think what George showed you is that his bread and butter, the thing that he's naturally good at, is the power. I thought he got more into and more comfortable with more advanced hand usage than we saw in college, to tell you the truth. And towards the end of his playing time, I want to say it was maybe a third of the way through the second quarter, you started to see him come off the ball with that first step that he had in college that we really liked. And that's what we're banking on him being able to bring to the pro game. So for George Karlaftis, I thought it was a day that started out, little nerves, little something, being a first NFL game. But I thought he stepped it up really quickly. And like right before our eyes got to the point where I think that we can project going forward that he's going to get there. And if he continues to build on his first step and on the hand usage we saw today, learning more from Frank and Carlos Dunlap is only going to help. So I think that's a natural progression we're going to see. I'm real confident in that. So I thought it was a good day for George Karlaftis in the rookie class. Trent McDuffie, I thought, was solid all the way around. So you got both your first rounders. I mean, I don't even have anything to talk about in terms of progression for Trent McDuffie, other than I don't think I want to see him take any more punts. I think I'd rather just see him play defense. That's okay. Karlaftis, McDuffie, fine. If I had something that was even a note about McDuffie, it would just be play a little bit more aggressive. I think that will come, though, so I'm not concerned about that. I really don't have much to say about him at this point. Then it gets on to the offensive side of the ball. Pacheco, I think, really is the story here, because it's not that he got those reps with the first team. It felt like it'd been building up to that most of the last week or so anyway. But it's the fact that he looked good, looked explosive, looked like he brought more juice than clearly anybody. But I thought CH tore one off pretty good and got some good acceleration too. So in retrospect, he probably looked similar there. But noticeably more juice in this ballgame than Rojo did. And most importantly, I didn't see anything on the negative side for Isaiah Pacheco. So that tells you that you can move forward with him, give him more looks, give him more of a taste. Like, this is just a first inkling, right? A lot of room to give him more touches. And I do think that that's going to come. And I'm really happy and comfortable with that. In the end, it's going to be about where you go from here. We'll talk about some of the guys that do have some work to do, I think. But those guys in particular, I thought played great. Comfortable. Obviously, Justin Reed did that the little kick thing. Good for them. You need a backup kicker from time to time. You never know. But I thought he and Juan Thornhill looked like they were in control. They understood where they're coming. They're coming downhill out of the too high pretty well. Juan with a little bit of a overly aggressive kind of thing there in a preseason game. That happens. Hopefully he's trying to live up to what he's already promised, that he's going to be an all-pro. Hey, if that's what it takes, as long as you don't hurt anybody, I think you can live with it. It probably should have been a penalty, just so we're being clear, but hey, it is what it is. I thought that part of the secondary looked good. Clearly, Brian Cook's going to hit somebody. And if y'all thought I was overhyping my enthusiasm about Brian Cook on this football team, I think you got a little bit of a glimpse of it. Probably not enough. clearly he's rotating at the 3 safety very, very well, and that's what he should be doing. I think that is solid here. Deion Bush had a good play, had a couple of missteps as well. He's clearly behind Cook in terms of that aspect of it, like the consistency aspect. I thought Cook was solid all day long. If we can get, I don't know if I can get the all 22 on the new NFL Plus or not, but I will try. If not, I'll let you know on the replay. Now, beyond that, the safety position got a little iffy for me. I thought Bush was okay. I thought Devin Key struggled. I think they need Zane Anderson back in the mix to see if he can push Deion Bush for that 4th position at the safety spot. We'll see what happens. I think that as it went along, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I should put this on social media and see how many people erupt. At the end of the day, I thought Crum looked just as good as Buechele, and I did not expect that. From what I've been hearing about camp, I thought he was distantly in the back, and it was just going to be an uphill slog. I'm trying to open my notes here real quick just to get the big highlights, the things that I wanted to say. Willie Gay looked great. I don't think enough people talked about how well he was playing, the speed that he looked with, the diagnosis speed that he had, getting to where he needed to be, maybe quicker than we've seen him in past years. Now, I know this is just a first preseason game, so can't overreact, but it's there. And I don't think that got a lot of traction either from the broadcast or from anybody with the beat reporters or anybody online on the social media aspect. That I think it should have gone that way. Really happy with that. So that's another nice part of it. I mean, you got to see more, obviously. The linebacker was kind of a conundrum, right? I think people have come to the realization that Leo Chenal is great at what he does well and what he did at Wisconsin. That is playing the run, coming downhill, and he's got a ways to go behind that. The fact that you saw Darius Harris play before him was a little eye-opening. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought that he'd be right in there behind Elijah Lee. Jermaine Carter got reps before him. That was a little bit surprising. I thought he was very solid other than in the passing downs that he wasn't asked to do very much and that he doesn't have any experience at. That doesn't sour me on where Leo Chenal is, and there's a lot of talk about how a lot of opinion that he just is what he is and he's a finished product. That is nowhere close to the truth. He has, I mean, he's not Willie Gay elite, but he's got very, very good athleticism. And he's got no experience playing pass. So he's got a long, long way that he can rise in terms of playing the pass, particularly in zone defense. So I think we should feel perfectly fine about Leo Chenal because that's where we knew he was going to be and the path that we thought he was going to take on. So I feel really comfortable about that. The question becomes, is they're going to have to keep him. They'll let him play a lot. And that's a positive for a guy who's trying to get his feet under him. I'm going to have to take a look at the snap counts when we get those official because I am a little bit concerned about they didn't seem to have a steady rotation. Like Carter was in with Leo some. Mike played with Carter, with Mike Rose, with Jack Cochran. They seem to be rotating, trying to find somebody. And that's something I think at the second level, you want to have that locked down already. I thought Elijah looked pretty solid, but not near as good as Bolton and Willie Gay. And that's what it is. If they can lock that down and he can get to the point where he's consistently in the right spot, I think they'll be okay there. There was one play, I think it was one of the scores. Was it Lee and Bush? I don't know, somebody, and just didn't quite understand the space they were trying to protect and how they were trying to do it and let that receiver get away from them. That's things that they'll learn. They'll go over the film, and that will be something that progresses week to week. Again, this is the starting point in week one. So nothing to be too alarmed at. Trying to see on the positive side, Jalen Watson, I thought had a bit of an up and down day, but more on the up than on the down. I actually felt like he played pretty well, so much so that, I mean, and Josh Williams even more so, he let that one pass get completed only because I think he felt it was probably uncatchable at that point. He was great into the coverage point. And then I think when he went for the ball, he just let up a little bit. I think that will be corrected instantly. He will play through that ball next time, be more aggressive in the air. And I don't think them are in a good shape to contribute. So that feels pretty good too. And as I look down the rest of my notes, we'll go over them in depth tomorrow, point by point. But we got something we got to talk about. There's a problem at the offensive tackle spot. If there's one injury, they're in trouble. I thought all of the backup tackles looked poor today, every last one of them. Unfortunately, Kennard as well. I was a little surprised to see Kennard, who had been repping as the backup tackle, get bumped down to the 3s. That's a concern. I don't think he played very well. My number one takeaway for Darian Kennard is get your pads down. It is not looking good at the height that he's playing at. I think that's an issue. Furthermore, I think both Jaron Christian as well as Roderick Johnson both had some significant struggles against backups. And that is my bigger concern about what they have to do to solidify this roster so that they're ready to go week 1 against starters all day long. That's going to be a tough one. Now, it is the Arizona Cardinals, and they have a second-year player that kind of stood out for them in terms of pass rush. So maybe you get a break there, but when it comes down to playing the Chargers in week 2, you got to be ready to roll, and that's got to come on right now. So we're going to find out. I think Kennard still has the upside. I was actually not frustrated with his feet. I thought his feet looked okay. Maybe a touch better than they were in college. So he's been working on something there. I feel pretty good about that. I just thought he got stood up. He was surprised by the defender's power too much. I saw him getting rocked back too often. And that's got to stop. So, hey, I said when he was drafted, I liked him at guard. It could be the way that it goes. We'll just have to see. Obviously, with Joe Thuney and Trey Smith there's not going to be much of an opportunity anytime soon. So that's kind of the way that lies. But all in all, I think they showed you the first team offense can move the ball just fine. I think Sky Moore is way ahead of schedule. Not only did he make that grab on the sideline, dragging the toe, he immediately looked at the side judge to get the call and to point out that, hey, my feet were in. And I think that's an upper level. That's being not just in the moment, but being focused on the moment as a professional that you don't see from rookies like right away very often. So I do feel that like he's out ahead of where we would expect a normal rookie to be. I think he's in for a big season. I think it's very possible that the top few wide receivers are not the guys that crush as rookies. It might be Sky Moore and Khalil Shakir. He's going off right now for the Buffalo Bills as well. Started really hot for them. So I think that we can see that there is a possibility that is about fit. And obviously when you're playing with Patrick Mahomes, you have the advantage. So take a step back. I won't be making it this week, but normally this is the week that I go to camp so that we can see the changes. We've seen the first glimpse at the team, and now they're going to make changes. There will be lineup changes. There will be technique changes. There will be distribution of snap changes pretty drastically, I am thinking. So it's about where they go from here and how they take the next step forward, how they get that much better. And I think there's plenty of room for improvement all the way around. But certainly the offensive line has to be a focus point. I do have a bunch of takeaways on the backup edge defenders. We're going to talk about them tomorrow night on the breakdown. I don't want to go too deep into it because it's a rabbit hole that we're going to have to crawl in and see what happens. Super chat from Nat. Sorry. Appreciate you, Nat. I want to make sure I address this. If you guys are going to support the channel, I'm going to support you and give you an answer. Like, sub, and hit the bell, you guys. Like this video. It'll help it grow. And make sure that you're subbed to the channel for further content. Didn't watch the game, but just dropping in with some support. Appreciate it, Nat. Which will watch this in the game at work tonight. Keep up the great work and go Chiefs. Thanks, Nat. Appreciate it. And I think, honestly, you may have a different perspective with a few more things to watch specifically for now. So I'm interested to see your opinion. I'll have a video for you tomorrow night. The breakdown of the notes here. It'll be a little bit different of a breakdown because it won't be live because the game was today. But check that back out and let's see how our thoughts line up after we take another look at that. I'll be rewatching tonight as well. Just a quick takeaway. If you guys are NFL Plus subscribers, what was Game Pass, I do have to give them credit because my feeds were strong last night and today. Obviously got to watch it on NFL Network, so through the satellite like I usually do today. But it is it's pretty quick, and the condensed versions come out within, I think it was within 2 hours of every game last night. So hopefully the Chiefs will be back up here later within the next hour or two as well. So if you are an NFL Plus subscriber, you can go check that out. And I think it's usually between 27 and 40 minutes to rewatch a game. There were a lot of drives in this one. So I do like that. And I like breaking things down by drive, especially early in the season as they try to establish the rhythm and what they're going to do. So let's see. Got a couple of questions. I'll just answer those. And then we'll go through all my notes tomorrow night. And you guys should be here live in the chat for that one. Was this a slight disappointment? Preseason games, I don't really care about the outcome. I'm disappointed that two players got a little banged up. We'll have to see what the girth of that is. I do think they'll be getting Jody Fortson back. So you saw Blake get hurt. I don't know what the extent of that is going to be. I thought Bushman had some decent reps, but some that he didn't look that solid on either. Couple of nice blocks from Noah Gray. He had that one nice catch. So I felt like Noah Gray was a solid contributor as well. So if it's him and if it's Kels, Fortson, and Gray, I think we're feeling pretty good. Doug, a little worried about our second and third string O-line. Where was Kennard? He was in there in the second half. He was playing with the threes, not the twos, and got a little bit beat up. I think Watson and Fount might be our 5 and 6. I have to agree. Like they stood out and stepped forward for that, trying to claim that, and I was happy to see it. Now again, it is against a poor team in their 2s and 3s, so we got to see what happens now. I think that Fountain and Watson earned themselves some reps with 1s next week. Got to give them a look, see what they can do against the 1s from the other team. And I think that's going to be important. But I agree with you, Doug. I think they said, hey, we're looking for these spots. Lev, how was Ryan talked this long and not done 5 minutes on Burton's 2 plays? I was trying to leave it, Lev. I mean, everyone knows how ecstatic I was. I was jumping up and down and stuff. It's also kind of a false summit here because this is Andy preseason football. He's not going to run the eye like he did today in the regular season. And he wants to tease me a little bit, give me all this Burton love, and then rip it out from under me. I do think that is what's going to happen. But hey, I think what Mike showed you is that everybody kind of laughs off the fullback just because of the way the league is, and that's fine. But I think he wanted to remind Chiefs fans, and I think he did that today, that, hey, he can contribute not just on special teams, but he can be part of this offense, and that's significant. So I'm happy for him. I hope that they continue to do that because, honestly, I think part of spreading the ball around, not only to the receivers, is to give more looks out of the backfield, and I think that's important. Did like the jet thing from Sky. I think that happened well. You can clearly see they're going to do more of it. So, yeah, Mike Burton, X Factor, multi-tool, multi-use weapon. Let's call him that. Thanks, love. Brandon, first team looks amazing. So did the seconds. What's your best takeaway? The guy that looked the best takeaway, honestly, was Mahomes, just like you expect. I will say this. I don't know. I didn't get the feeling that they were doing anything special, but clearly MVS had the looks today. So I do think that this kind of goes back to MVS and Juju are going to be a back and forth kind of who's the primary target on a given week. And it's going to be about the matchup and how they're playing them, the shells that they get. I think MVS is very good about setting down into some of those deeper zones, mid to deep zones, whereas I like Juju in the mids as well, but he does well in short yardage, under 8 yards, that kind of thing. So I think it really could be a back and forth. That's a good thing. Multiple guys that can be your wide receiver 1 on a given Sunday is great for Patrick Mahomes. He hates California. Nice. Thanks for joining us. Good Lord. Second and third team O-line look bad. Low-key worried for the season. I understand. I feel the same way, except for the fact that they are seconds and thirds for a reason. So it is about keeping the first team healthy. And that's the big thing. If they can do that, I think they're going to be fine. So I think they'll be okay. In the end, if one of them can step up, you got to have a swing tackle that you feel can actually play. And right now, I'm I'm concerned that there isn't somebody that can actually pull that off right now. Jaden, how are you? Josh Gordon had some plays, just couldn't get his hands stay in bounds. Thoughts on Gordon? I'm trying to find an optimistic thing to say about Josh Gordon. Now, the coming down in bounds, that's on the quarterback, not on him. So that's by no way his fault. But I thought he looked okay, but he didn't look explosive. He didn't look like we've seen him look in years past. But somewhere between the New England time and the time off he had and last year in Kansas City, he's not as explosive as he was. And I think that's a problem because his game is based on that. That's the way he's always performed. So I don't know. Right now, I feel like he's on the outside looking in at Fountain and Watson, but it is what it is. The fact that he didn't get to play with Chad Henne, I think, was an issue as well. I think they have a decent connection. I think that really means that you feel he's in the second tier. So right now, he's got some work to do. Robert, thoughts on a first-team performance? I thought it looked smooth on offense, and I thought the defense gave you enough that you can see them getting there. You can see where they can improve. I was a little surprised Carlos didn't play till later, but I thought Dana was solid. I think Frank looked snappy coming off the ball, and I think Karlaftis really improved like during the game, like you could see him progress during the ball game, and that made me happy because that's the turnover of taking coaching points and taking experience against a tackle, especially when he got to go against the rookie, the guy his own age and his own experience level. He was home free. It was going up against guys that have been in the league a couple of years that's going to be a problem for him. So I like that. Risky, did Trent play today? All I saw from him was a punt return. Oh, yeah, he played. He started with them. Didn't play a ton. I want to say 3 drives. I don't know. Maybe not that. The punt might have been the last play he played. I'll have to go back and look. Herring is in a lot in my notes. He didn't come on until after Josh Kando, and I thought he looked better. Herring's one of the guys we're going to talk about at length tomorrow night, so I'm not going to go too deep into it now. I was supposed to be on here for 15 minutes. It's already 23. You guys know how it goes. 400 of us in here today. Appreciate that and appreciate you. If you're not one of us, make sure you hit the sub button and hit the like for me too. I would appreciate that. I do think that Herring deserved more reps coming off of this performance. He's earned more. I'm not sure I can say that about Kando. So I want to see how they change that up and who gets more and kind of track that from game to game to game. They need one of them because Frank, Carlos, Dana, Karlaftis, those are your 4 primaries. But if anybody misses a game, you need a 4th guy to rotate. You got to have somebody you can go to. Right now, I would lean towards Herring, but it's just one ball game. I remember we didn't see him at all last year, so he's definitely got some room that he can still improve. Can he do it fast enough? That's the question. You guys had a couple more questions. We'll do those, and then we will let you on your way because it is Saturday night, and I know how that goes. Cornell Powell drops. Yeah, nothing earth-shattering, kind of expected. I think you saw him play where he played predominantly for that reason. Robert, do you think Rojo will be cut? I can't tell. He didn't look like he had much of a spark. Let's see what happens now as they react to first team. He didn't have an O-line in front of him either. So, like, they might give him, still a couple of weeks to figure it out, but he did not look quick to me. So it may be that. And, hey, this is a performance-based business. And so if you beat a guy out, I'm all for it. I hope that they don't put a lot of pressure on Pacheco right away, but he clearly looks like the second best back. I mean, you could make an argument, but he clearly looks like the second best back on this roster right now. KL, Lonnie had a rough day and started late. Yeah, came in with the 3s again and then didn't look that great. He's been dominating the 3s and the 2s in practice, as I understand. Blew a couple of plays today, things that he should know better, and so I'm a little concerned about it. In the end, maybe he's not going to live up to his potential and what I thought he could be. We'll find out. Brown looking a little quicker. Yeah, absolutely, Donovan. I do think that Orlando's training in the offseason, contract aside, he did some of the things that he needed to do to improve his ability to play in this offense. His feet look a little quicker, and he definitely looks lighter and more nimble, and that's what he needed to do. So kudos to him, and a little bit of relief that he did. But that's definitely going to improve not only his game, but the offense's ability to survive drives. Do we need a punt returner? Moore and McDuffie didn't look like naturals. No, not necessarily. I'm not that concerned about it. In the end, you can put McCole back there if you need to. I think those guys also can grow into it. And there are a few other options on the roster as well. Clearly, they wanted to put Pacheco at running back today. That may shift. It may not. Who knows? The fact that they got him out after running some offense, and I didn't see him take a kick. Maybe I'm wrong, but I did not note that. That's more significant to me because they've been playing up his special teams return ability for weeks. So let's see what comes of that. But yeah, I mean, you'd like to see more spark out of the punt return. You're right. Black Soul, with performances of Gore and Rojo, do you think they can carry 3 running backs or 4 with the worry of Clyde McKinnon getting hurt? I mean, normally because of those 2 guys in injury history, I would say you want 4. I don't know if either of those guys can justify right now being on the 53. Gore certainly to the practice squad. I know he had the fumble today. I don't recall him having a fumble in the past, so I'm pretty comfortable with him. I thought it was a bad play, obviously on his part, but I think he's earned enough credit to get a chance to recover from that and prove that wrong or prove it fluky. In the end, I think 3 is probably more likely, and you gotta hold the practice squad spot so you can call them up if you need them. And I think that's probably going to be the best thing that happens is elevation on a given week is my thought. Let's see. Sean, Darius was all over the field and looked good. Carter in trouble? I actually didn't think so. I thought they both looked pretty even to me in terms of executing their assignments. Good for Darius for not going down without a fight. I think it's 6-1 right now. I don't see anybody in the lead for that one. They definitely need to investigate that and give both more reps. Probably, I'd like to see them both get a couple of reps with the ones to have the top lineman in front of them and see how they perform actually. No, Longmore. Kennard is not pushing to start. He may have lost his backup job is what it may be. I don't know. But yeah, I don't. It's not a fight. Andrew Wiley has that in the bag. It's over. Andrew Wiley will be the right tackle. Where was McKinnon? Never saw him play a snap at running back. I think he got 2. And I think 1 was a pass. So I think he just stayed in protected. They clearly wanted to see Pacheco with the 1s, and then they threw McKinnon in there as well. Rojo came in with the 3s, I want to say. But McKinnon did not play a lot. No reason to. They don't need to see him. They know what he is, especially when he was on the roster last year. Realize that it's only preseason Pacheco. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's against a bad team with preseason competition. But, hey, that's how if you're going to look good there, it buys you more time to look good against others. What do you think about the X Factor, Brian Cook? I think he's as advertised. I think he covered up miscues by 2 other players. I thought he came downhill hard. I think he's looking to make a hit. I think he's going to make contact one of these days, and we're all going to be like, so, yeah, I feel good about where he's at. And let's get this last one, and we will call it a day, you guys. Watson looked at 6'3", looked so huge out there amongst the other receivers, defenders. What do you think about how does he look in the matrix? Never realized his size until today. He looked okay. I want to say he was a low 90s, which for a wide receiver of his size is perfectly fine. Like Mike Evans wasn't a huge matrix guy either. The fact that they played together and he's picked up a little bit of stuff from him too. I believe his best score was in the explosive range. So like that mid range of 20 to 40 yards. And that certainly paid off in that skinny post that he ran for the touchdown. I think you see that. But yeah, he was definitely out there with some of the smaller players, right? Holly, did I miss you? I am so sorry. How could I do that? I thought I had it in here, but there it is. It's the last one on my list. I just had it. I hadn't seen it right. Any news updates on when Niang will return? Thank you, Miss Holly, for the support and for being patient with me. Appreciate it. What I've heard is that Niang is progressing and that they're not ready to put a date on it. Again, I still feel with the size of the man and the nature of the injury, I don't expect him to be back before the bye, which is week 8. If he's back before that and he can practice, he might be able to play after the bye, and that would be great too. I do think they're going to give him plenty of room to kind of work up to speed, because the last thing you want to do is stress out an injury that you're just coming back from when it's that significant. It was a patella tendon. That it can sometimes be catastrophic for guys' careers. Medically, it's more difficult when you are longer in your levers, and he is pretty high-waisted and tall. And when you're carrying him on that much weight. So that's 2 strikes against a quicker or a cleaner recovery. So I think they need to be a little bit more careful with him. So that's it. We went half an hour, got some stuff done. So appreciate it. I will have more thoughts in my deep dive on my notes. I'll record that later tonight. It'll be up tomorrow at normal for the breakdown, 6 p.m. Central on Sunday. I hope you guys have a great night. Check out some other ball games. We have games coming against the Cardinals. They already played Chargers as well. So, hey, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for being here. I hope you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you tomorrow.